Hello, welcome back to Born Again to Live this Monday morning.
Yes.
And it's a monumental day for us here. Amy and I have now got our 40th episode.
The big 40.
So I turned 40 and I got 40 episodes. It's a wonderful day. No, it's not my birthday.
Well, and it's also St. Patrick's Day. So if green beer is your thing, it is also your day.
It is. I never thought I would get 40 episodes of a podcast.
No kidding. I can't believe that we have that much to talk about. But, you know, and we've mentioned this before, we both listen diligently to our podcast ourselves. And, you know, I remember a couple weeks ago joking with you saying, Eric, what if we got the top Christian leaders in this space together listening to our podcast in a lounge? Would they just be groaning and rolling their eyes like, these guys are terrible? And how do you not know what that verse is, right? Because we do just kind of fumble through sometimes. We have to go back later and look up things. But, it occurred to me this week, what we do on this podcast is we're really not preaching or teaching. We're just a couple people talking about our favorite thing, which is Jesus, right? You got podcasts about sports and about politics and about gardening and celebrities, and all they're doing is sitting around talking about their favorite thing. And so you and I are just talking about our good buddy Jesus. And yeah, sometimes we're like, what did we say that one time? And we have to, thankfully there is a tape. We can go back and get it verbatim, but yeah. We just do a lot of paraphrasing and storytelling and talking about our favorite person, who, by the way, is the most non-religious person we know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he kind of sort of went against the establishment.
Yes, he did.
But no, as far as that goes, you talk about the top religious people. A couple of my buddies who are pastors have listened and said we're pretty spot on with most of our doctrine or whatever you want to call it. How can I remember that?
There's the word.
But no, I think that we give you a solid base. So we're that steady, sturdy rock at the bottom. You might not be the best preachers in the world or teachers, but we know what we're talking about because we have a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some pretty good stories. We had that born again moment, but we've got we have our history that I think is good to know. Nothing makes somebody more relatable than saying, I've been there. I've been stupid. I've been reckless. I've been hurtful. So, we want you to know just exactly who we are. And this, like we've said before, this is a conversation for everyone.
Yeah. So, listen and learn from our mistakes. Now, so back to the whole 40 days. That's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
And so Amy and I were talking before we came on here about the significance of 40 in the Bible. So there's a lot.
Yeah, there's
40 in the Bible. 40 days, 40 nights, 40 years. 40 comes up in the Bible a lot. So we're actually going to spend this episode talking about a couple of those, and I think Amy's going to list most of them.
Yeah, there is a bunch. We talked before about 7 being the number of completion. That has a significance. So, there's so much in here. So it says, in the Old Testament, God destroyed the earth with water, right? The big flood. He caused it to rain 40 days and 40 nights. Then we have Moses, and he killed an Egyptian, and he fled. And he spent 40 years in the desert, just hiding out. Then Moses met God on Mount Sinai. He was there for 40 days and 40 nights. Then he had to go back and intercede on behalf of his people for yet another 40 days and 40 nights. Was that after they made that golden calf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was ready to wipe them off.
I was going to say, they messed up pretty good then. The law, the old Jewish law specified a maximum number of lashes a man could receive for a crime, setting the limit at 40. Then when the Israelites, after being in the desert all that time for 40 years, they sent spies in to take a look at the land of Canaan. The spies were out for 40 days. Let's see, before Samson's deliverance, Israel served the Palestinians for 40 years. I love this one. I don't even think I knew this one. Goliath taunted Saul's army for 40 days before David arrived to slay him. Then there was Elijah who had to flee Jezebel. Or she was threatening to kill him. He traveled 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Horeb. So there's just so many references to that we talk about Jesus being tempted for 40 days and 40 nights, and that there were 40 days between his resurrection and his ascension when he went up to be with the Lord. So that is a lot. Yeah, that's one of those things, Eric. You can't say those are all coincidences. So what do we say about the number 40?
Obviously, God wants you to know the number 40 is important.
Yeah.
Repetitiveness like that doesn't just coincidence, I don't think. So, which one do you think it was one of your favorite out of those? What would you? I mean, you said the Goliath one. You didn't even know this.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that one. Well, I mean, I guess for me, the one that really sticks is the wilderness years, right? The Israelites, God brought them out of slavery. So you can imagine, especially that first couple of nights, it's like, wow, we're finally free. But then they're stuck in the wilderness because they just kept failing over and over again. And, I had mentioned before how when you read the Bible, you just see them constantly stumbling. Here they just saw God part the waters and say, serve me only. And, he gives them the 10 commandments, right? Number 1 says to serve me with all of your heart, all your mind, all your strength. And then what do? They make a golden calf. And I love when you actually read the text in the Bible, Moses is like, guys, what is this? And they make it sound like that they just put gold in the furnace and out popped this calf. They didn't mention that, oh yeah, we had to sculpt it. They purposely made it. But
my favorite part of that story that's overlooked by most everybody?
What?
Who helped make the calf?
Probably Aaron.
Aaron, who was the right hand of Moses, his brother, the man of God, who performed all these miracles, heard from God, and spoke through Aaron to the Pharaoh. He performed all of these miracles. Yeah, it showed him all the stuff that God is doing. And he gets left behind when Moses goes up on the mountain to get the law, and he gives up. How weak are we?
Yeah.
To think of that man being the one who is sculpting the calf. After you've seen what he did with the staff that you carried and all of these things, that be able to be weak enough to say, yeah, we need a calf because we don't have God. What is wrong with you?
You know what? I mean, Eric, we can sit here now, thousands of years later, and point that finger, but I'm sure sometimes Jesus does the same thing to us. Eric, I've given you my word. I've given you my promises. I have showed how faithful I am. What is the matter with you, right?
Could you imagine if they had the Gospel of Eric, people reading, oh man, what a screw up.
I know, right? Don't follow this guy, but...
What is he doing? Does he not know God's got it?
Exactly. But again, going back to your question, this is why the wilderness resonates with me, because we try so hard. And even though we get out of our wilderness years and we get to this born again life, we still have those stumbles. We still have those falls. But, for me, those wilderness years, much like with the Israelites, they weren't just these godless years. They weren't just these years of screwing up. God was moving and working and showing me things, right? So when I get to the other side of my cocoon and I'm in my born again life, I can look back and be like, oh, that's why I went through that. And that's what I learned from that. And so yeah, that number 40 is big for me. So you can't take that one.
So you were talking about the 40 days with Goliath teasing the army. I actually last night started a new show. It's on Amazon Prime called The House of David.
Okay.
I've heard about this for 2 months, that it was getting rave reviews.
Huh.
And Gibson and I actually started it last night and watched the first episode, hour-long episodes, but it's depicting the House of David and how it all went through. And the first episode was all about how he got to where he battled Goliath, and it was really good. I don't watch I do watch a lot of Christian stuff, but you don't watch a lot that's detailed, really good cinematic type video. But this was a really good, you could tell, this is well made, money's been put into it. And so I'm actually going to promote that people watch it, because actually a buddy of mine who he's the pastor at BBC, he put that episode 3 was fire on his Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get to episode 3." If this man's saying that's good, that's good. I want to get through 1 right now, and so yeah, I love that there's shows out there that are digging into this and letting people have more options, because from what I understand, that is one of the top rated shows that have came through Amazon in a while.
Nice, about time.
It's on the Christian side, so
There's a lot of junk out there.
40 years of nothing, and now we get
exactly. Yeah. But no, I was going to say, I love David. Like, he to me is one of the most interesting biblical characters, because when you read his history, it says, like, you know, he was after God's own heart, right? And that's one of the, I think, the only times it's ever said about characters. Like, we kind of don't know why God chooses some of the ones that he does, right? Sometimes it does say that they were upright and righteous, and that's why God used them and spoke to them. But other times, obviously not, right? I mean, Samson's a good illustration. Like, that dude, he never got things right, but God still used him. But no, David, like, it's one of the few times that the Bible said David was after God's own heart. And yet David did some really just careless,
shady stuff.
Shady stuff. I mean, do you want to get into the whole, like...
I think we need to do some David talk later.
Yeah.
Because I love David.
A series of David.
I go back to when he danced with all his life. I still want to know what that looks like.
I do too.
Oh.
Yeah. You think he had the white man's overbite? He had to, right? Like,
yeah.
Pumping his fist, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, leaping and dancing with all your might. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I can imagine it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, that would be a fun competition to have at Big Blue.
Yes. I'm all about David.
Dancing with all your might with the stars. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you asked me
yeah, what's your favorite?
Looking at that list, it's a long list, but actually I'm going to go with when Moses was in hiding for 40 years.
Yeah.
So the story is that Moses killed an Egyptian, got scared, and ran away from Egypt, because actually Moses was in the palace of Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was not Hebrew. Well, he was Hebrew by birth, but he wasn't by the law, I guess, because he was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And we go with adoption. He was adopted into Pharaoh's family. So he was royalty, but he killed an Egyptian, so he thought he was going to get in trouble, and he ran away.
Yeah.
And for 40 years, he was in hiding, like completely in hiding. And he probably thought, God is so mad at me right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he was with, I believe it was his future father-in-law, or with his father-in-law. I'm sure in some way he became father-in-law. But anyways, he was in this spot, and you had to think it was probably the last thing on his mind that he would even hear from God. And he's out herding or shepherding animals, and this bush catches fire, and it starts talking to it. And it's like, I'm pretty sure I thought God was hating me and I was going to wherever, but now this bush is talking to me, telling me to take off my shoes because you're on holy ground. Now, like, so the fact that you can be like where Moses was, and he did wrong and he sinned, and he went into hiding thinking he wasn't worth God's time. And then 40 years later, God's like, hey, I need you, and I'm going to use you as my vessel on this earth to change the course of history. It's just amazing to me that you can go into hiding and still be on God's radar no matter what.
Yeah, that's a picture of seasons, right? Like, we have different seasons in our life, and obviously Moses went on to do big things, but during that season, it was a time of reflection. It was a time of probably repentance.
And learning.
Yeah.
Because his father-in-law was a pastor, or a priest.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he was he was a priest.
Yeah.
Or a Pharisee, or whatever you want to call him. I don't know exactly. But he was a man of the, basically, Bible at that point. And
of the Israelites, right?
Yeah. He was an Israelite. He was learning. He was learning under him. So do you think all of that time God was waiting for him to be taught by this earthly person so that he could be called to a higher purpose?
Sure, because up until that point, he had only really grown up in the palace of the Egyptian, the Pharaoh, so there's no way he could have led the people into the desert and still led them in a godly way, because I'm sure he only knew the Egyptian ways, right? Because he thought he was Egyptian up until he found out he was adopted. So I never thought about it, but that's
kind of crazy.
That's a stacked stone there for Moses, let me tell you. But yeah, it took 40 years for him to get there. And I would also imagine 40 years of kind of growing some humility as well, because he came from Pharaoh's palace. He thought he was, the nephew, right? Because Pharaoh's sister.
Pharaoh's sister, yeah.
So yeah, he would have been the nephew of Pharaoh. So I'm sure he thought he was all that.
Yeah.
And so he needed that humility. He needed that time. So that's a good choice. And then, so in our digging, the number 40, it represents it represents
temptation and testing.
Yeah.
And judgment.
I would say all those examples that were read were definitely temptation, definitely testing. And I remember not too long ago also reading where 40 sort of also represented this ending of one thing and moving into another. And when you think about it, at the end of those 40 years, something stopped and then a new thing began. And so really the number 40 also represents the born again to live life, right?
Yeah.
We are ending with our 40 years in the wilderness, and then we are starting fresh.
Yep. So we're happy that we have been here for 40 episodes, and we have been here for 400.
Yeah, well, that's just going to get us through like 2 years, Eric.
That's right. Yes, let's hope we're like 40,000. I don't know. I just love the journey that this podcast has taken.
Me too.
And the fact that it was something I really didn't want to do, and God kind of told me you're gonna do it, and then turned into something I heard.
Me too, Eric. I mean, God told you to do it, and then you told me to do it. But I love it. I look forward to our recording days. I look forward to just, as I said in the beginning of this podcast, just sitting around and talking about our best friend. And it has been such a delight. And listeners, we so appreciate you guys. And we want you to join the conversation and reach out to us, Facebook, Messenger, whatever you need. We want to hear your questions, your comments, your prayer requests. We want to get to know you.
Yep. And so on this St. Patty's Day, coming from the crew here at Born Again to Live, make good decisions.
Amen.
Have fun. Have a good
Bye.
No more shame or sorrow. My past regrets were washed away.
Hey guys, thanks again for joining us today. We want to make you a part of the conversation. So please visit our Facebook page at Born Again to Live the podcast and leave a note or a comment, questions, prayer requests. We just want to hear from you. And while you're at it, please like, subscribe, and share so that others can find out about our podcast. Thank you.